everyone, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. This is our general reading for March the 27th, 2021. Now, as I was getting my space and my cards ready to do your reading tonight, this never happens, but as I was getting the cards ready, two cards popped out of the two tarot decks that I use, but nothing popped out of the oracle decks as usual. Usually nothing comes out when I'm getting the cards ready for you, but tonight two cards appeared out of the tarot deck, and I would like to share them with you because it's very interesting. So the first card that appeared was the Hermit card. Okay, so the Hermit card, if you've been watching, keeps appearing over and over in all of our readings. Now, the energy of the Hermit card is really asking you to withdraw from the extroverted activities of life. There is wisdom that can be found in solitude, and solitude is where we face all our moral dilemmas. Yay, it's time to face moral dilemmas. So the idea of the Hermit card is really to be introspective and be patient and accept that you are about to learn the lessons, the moral lessons of time and mortal life. Now, what are those lessons comprised of on a practical level? Well, the moral lesson of time is that nothing remains unchanged and that nothing lives beyond its span. Okay, now when you look at that from the perspective of experiences and moments in life, they all have a time. And when that time has completed, even if you don't understand why that time has completed, there is true wisdom in learning to accept that everything has a time. Okay, everything has a time. Experiences have times, relationships have a time. Everything lives in the span it is meant to live in and cannot live beyond. So there is a development here where the mind and heart are developed and you have formed a firm identity, which now it's time for you to review. The reason I say that is that the Hermit is the ninth card in the Fool's Journey in Tarot. And at this point, the Fool has passed through three moral lessons. And this is the fourth. And here we really learn the value of solitude to learn and study so that you can understand truth. And the truth that seems to be shining through here for me, especially with the other card that fell out of the tarot deck, is the idea of love. Okay, so we're going to talk, maybe this is going to be a love reading, but it's not the kind of love you think I mean, maybe. The other card that fell out was the Ten of Cups. Now, the Ten of Cups is a beautiful card because it really signifies an ongoing emotional contentment. It's like a permanent sense of understanding that love is truly the answer to everything. Love is the vibration of all emotions. When you love like the love of the Ten of Cups, there is sort of an immortality to the level of love you have. You almost become an eternal being of love at this point. And I'm giggling just because I know that that's hard to take away from this reading and be like, okay, I'll do that. Well, how do you do that? Well, it's interesting that it came with the Hermit card, because really to understand love, truly to get to the Ten of Cups level of love, and the kind of love I'm talking about, again, it's not romantic love, but the kind of love I'm talking about is true self-love without judgment, and true understanding that everything that's happened and is happening is always designed to teach you something about who you are. And if you approach everything with love as the primary overarching perspective, then you will learn those lessons, because you won't get blocked in areas of feeling like things are happening to you and that you are a slave to your emotions, and that you can't feel anything different, that if someone hurts you, you're going to stop loving them. Well, okay, but then that signifies that your definition of love is not unconditional. I mean, you don't have to have everyone in your life in the sense of they don't all have to have contact with you. Obviously, boundaries are a form of self-love, but carrying that feeling around for another person, experience, or relationship is heavy. I like the Buddhist explanation of it, that is you're watering a plant of anger. Why not water a plant of love? Why are you letting the seeds of anger grow? The Hermit card helps with this. You need time away from people to process this sort of concept of forgiving yourself first, because it all starts with the self, right? The Hermit card is telling you to look at the inner self. So you're not going to find the answers by trying to figure out why someone did something to you or what their problem is, or Googling what's a narcissist, because that person's a narcissist. Trust me when I say that you're wasting your time because it's not about why that person did what they did. It's who were you in that moment, and why did you do what you did? Those are the questions. And again, you ask them with love, not with judgment, so that you feel ashamed of yourself, or you feel, angry at yourself, or you just sit there and think, I wish I had done something different. No, that's not going to be helpful. The idea is to look at yourself curiously and wonder, without making a rash assumption about why you did something the way you did it, but to really say why. Like, who was I? What did that person show me about who I am in that moment? When I think about the way I had to keep reframing questions so that I would arrive at truth. It was really an interesting process, and it takes time, and you need to give yourself that time. You do, and you need to do it with love. Okay, so what a lovely theme to start our reading off tonight. The Hermit and the Ten of Cups. Beautiful. Now, I am going to put them back in their respective decks because we're going to use these cards tonight. But I definitely wanted you to get that energy for the reading tonight, because those cards, when I'm getting the cards ready for your readings, nothing ever pops out because I'm shuffling like this. I'm just putting in my intention like this. And yet, like, it's not the same sort of shuffling I do when I'm talking with you right now. Anyway, very interesting, and it was the first time that happened, so I wanted to share it with you. Okay, let's get started with your reading tonight and see how that Ten of Cups energy and the Hermit energy, oh boy, are going to come back for us tonight in this reading. Okay. Now, I want to try and get these things in order. I believe it went like that. Okay. Okay. Wow. Now, I got 11 cards. This happened earlier. I was doing a personal reading for someone, and we got 11 cards as well. And the 11th card seemed to really clarify the outcome in that reading. So we're going to keep this 11th card involved in our reading tonight. Now, I'm just going to take a second here to sit with the cards. Just give me a moment. Okay. Thank you for giving me a moment there. I always speed it up so it doesn't seem too long for you. Okay, so what's going on in this reading is really beautiful. And the first two cards, the Hermit and the Ten of Cups, really did set the scene for us here. What we have here is a situation of a perceived lack of abundance. There is a perceived lack of abundance that's causing you to feel really anxious about your material stuff, money, house, home, bills, stuff like that. So there's this energy where you're in a place right now where you're meeting the demands of your life, like you're able to pay your bills and everything. You're balanced in that way, but for some reason you're feeling that it's not enough. That you're in a state of scarcity. You're not feeling abundant right now. Okay, because there is definitely this sense of attachment to the physical world, possessions maybe. Probably I would suspect I'm getting sort of the feeling of a fear about being able to provide for yourself in the future. Okay, now what's happening at the mental perspective of all of this for you is a feeling of you're feeling challenged to deal with people right now. You're feeling really triggered by people. You have this unease when it comes to having the other people's emotion as a consideration. Does that make sense? Like you're sort of frustrated when you think about other people and having to consider other people or having to deal with the emotions of other people. It's sort of like, oh, that person's really frustrating me and they're ruining my day. And there's this feeling that it's almost like you really think that the external world determines how you feel on a day-to-day basis. And that feeling that you have is not a positive one lately. You're noticing that you're easily triggered. You're having feelings of annoyance when you have to deal with people in the outside world. And you're feeling triggered. Now, that really does make sense because when you look at what's happening at the root of all of this, our friend the Tower has returned to say hello again, to remind you that what you're sensing, this, again, remember I always tell you that the card that crosses the current situation is always related to the card at the root of the matter. So the card that crosses you here is the Four of Pentacles, and below it we see the root of the issue, the base of the matter is the Tower. So what that is really saying, you guys, is that these feelings of anxiety that you're having, these feelings of being triggered by other people, this perceived lack of abundance, it's happening because you're not really accepting change right now. And what did the Hermit card tell us at the beginning of the reading? That everything has a time span, that nothing can live beyond its time span, and that nothing remains unchanged. And you're desperately, I'm feeling this like clawing energy in my fingers, almost like you're trying really hard to just hang on to things and leave them the way they are. And yet you're dissatisfied and you feel scarcity. You don't feel a sense of abundance in the situation that you're currently in, even though it is the Six of Pentacles, which suggests that it is abundant, or at least fair, but for some reason in your mind, no, you're really worried about the future. You're almost like a miser in this card. And that's really preventing you from seeing the true picture of your exchange in life, that you are giving and receiving equally, and yet you feel so triggered by people right now. It's interesting, you guys. I really think it's because you're having a hard time accepting change, right? And giving love to change and looking at change with the eyes of love instead of this triggered attitude that you have here with other people. I think it's speaking about you're frustrated with time. I was just speaking to someone about this, that when you're feeling impatient, it's because you have an expectation of time that's not being met. And you have a how dare you moment to the clerk at Starbucks, or a how dare you moment at the bank lineup, or at the grocery store lineup, or whatever, interaction you're having with someone. You have these how dare you moments because really at the root of impatience is that you feel like someone's not respecting your time. And you feel like the expectation you have of time isn't being met. This isn't going fast enough. You know, why can't they just do it faster? Why is this line taking so long? You know, or why is whatever situation you're in that you're sort of feeling impatient with, why is it still going on? And it's still going on because your expectation of time hasn't changed. If your expectation of time changes and is open and not so defined and rigid, then things, when they happen around you, you'll appreciate that they're all happening in their own time. You know, whatever it is, the experience you're having, it's happening in its own time. And if it's pushing your buttons, that's because there's a lesson there for you to say, who am I in this moment where this clerk in front of, or the person standing in front of me serving me at Starbucks or at the bank or whatever, they're going so slowly and I'm starting to lose it and I'm really getting triggered. Instead of going with the emotion, like the reversed King of Cups, it's reversed. So the King of Cups can usually ride the ocean waves and never get triggered. I mean, he's very passionate about things he loves, but when he's riding the waves of emotion, he encounters all kinds of things and he's almost like indifferent. He can look at it all and not be triggered. But this is reversed. So you are triggered. You're feeling triggered when you're in the ocean. And so as a result, you're probably better off hermiting, like the first card said. You know, like the first two cards encouraged us to withdraw from the external world. And these cards are certainly saying the same thing. You are in a place where you feel a lack of abundance and you're easily triggered by the external world because your world is coming down around you. So I don't blame you, but trust me when I say you're not going to be able to change your feelings until you change your perception. Okay? You have to work on the perception to change the feelings. You know what I'm talking about, because like imagine that scene at the bank and I'm standing next to you and you're getting so frustrated and I look at you and I say the one word that is going to make you crazy: relax. Am I right? When you're in that moment and someone looks at you and says, "Oh, relax," don't you just want to lose it even more? Because that's another how dare you moment. It's almost like they don't understand how frustrated you are because you don't really even understand why you're so frustrated. You're frustrated not because the process is taking a long time, the lineup at the bank. You're frustrated because your expectation of time isn't met. If you walked into that bank with zero expectations of time, it would change the whole situation. You know what I mean? If you walk around thinking and believing and knowing that everything happens in its own time, it's going to be pretty tricky to feel impatient after that, because impatience is the definition of saying this isn't moving at the speed that I think it needs to move at. Well, then you can't change time. You're never going to make that bank line go faster, right? The only part of that equation that you have control over is you. And when people say you have to change your reaction, okay, yes, you do, but it's like you're jumping a step if you try and change the reaction before you change the perception, right? You got to change the perception first, and then the reaction changes on its own. So it's a really interesting reading so far. Now, when we look at the influences from the past, we see that you definitely have been feeling this stirring of creative energy. There is something that you really want to do or wanted to do, and I'm feeling like maybe you decided not to do it because of this anxiety you're having about the material world in the present, right? And the resisting change. Okay, so whatever this creative idea that came in the past, I hope it's still there. But if it's gone, it's interesting. You might want to think about whatever that was, because I think what was blocking it is this attitude in the present, this perception in the present, the the thing blocking it is this perception that you have in the present that change is scary, I don't have enough, and people are annoying, right? And they're not going fast enough. That's why these people are annoying, not just random. The thing that's annoying you about people is their inability to move fast, and you're feeling triggered by other people's emotions. And so if someone in the outer world is emotional around you, you feel it. Okay? And so that's blocking you from this idea for a new creative process, this new creative energy that was coming in through the past influence here. It's being blocked by this, you know what it is? It's a lack of abundance. It's a perceived lack of abundance. It's a fear of change, and it's feeling triggered by others. Okay? That's what's happening in the present. But in the past, there was a surge of creative energy. Now, the future influences here is interesting. So there's going to be some kind of inner conflict potentially, or maybe with people around you. But I'm thinking it's going to be an inner conflict because everything here is about how you feel on the inside. And it's going to be a situation where you're almost going to, it's almost like you feel like you've taken on too much. And you're going to judge yourself for that. You're going to sort of put pressure on yourself for that. And instead of walking away to move forward, you might get a little bit stuck in some negative self-perceptions, some self-limiting beliefs, some, you're not going to use that 10 of Cups energy that led the reading that talks just about love. So that's the advice here, right? Is that when this future situation arises where you're in a place where it's like you do sense that it's better to just swallow your pride and move forward, you're going to resist that slightly, and you might get stuck in an energy of self-judgment here. So take the message from the card that fell out of the reading when I was preparing, of the 10 of Cups and the Hermit energy, because the 10 of Cups and the Hermit energy will help with these two cards, right? You need to add love, and you need to accept change, and you need to just let go, right? These are the lessons. Now, when we look at the cards that came out to describe how you feel about yourself, the version of yourself that you're putting out into the world, your hopes and your fears, and the final outcome, they're very, very interesting. We have 3 reversals, and the final outcome is in upright position. So the first card talks about how you are feeling on the inside. Now, on the inside, you're really feeling challenged to be diplomatic and to have tact, which makes sense because every time you step outside the house, you're triggered by all the people that you encounter. Or a majority of people are triggering you in the outer world. So you're feeling really challenged to be diplomatic. You're feeling really challenged to have tact. And I'm thinking it's patience. You're feeling challenged to be patient right now. And the manifestation that you're putting out into the world right now is that you feel challenged to have a new viewpoint when it comes to conflict. Now, because this is the Page of Swords and he's in reverse. So the Page of Swords is saying that a conflict is an inner conflict, a mental conflict, of adopting a new viewpoint, but it's in reverse. So yet again, there's a resistance here to adopt a new viewpoint. And this whole present timeline is all about perceptions. So really the message here from Spirit is that you need to look at your perceptions. And we had that Hermit card come up. Don't forget, that's all about learning these moral lessons of time, and mortal life, that everything has a time span and you can't change time. Nothing stays the same forever. The only constant in life is change, and you can't change time. All you can change is your perception of time. Okay? Now, the card that speaks of hopes and fears is the Magician reversed. Now, when the Magician is upright, it suggests that you're able to use your intuition and your found abilities and your mastery of the four elements to manifest your destiny and to really open up your life. Now, this card is it's in reverse, which means that you're feeling that this is challenging, but it is your hope and it's your greatest hope and your greatest fear that you won't be able to get that new career, start that new business, use those new skills and abilities that you sense you have. There is a fear here that you're not going to be able to do it. Again, it's a mental shift. You've got to flip the script. You've got to shift mentally before you can see any change in the outer world. When this card is not reversed, you know how to manifest. You understand that you have to believe it first. You understand that the question isn't, when is it coming? When is it coming? Rather, it's a statement that says, it's here, it's here, it's here. It's always been here, and it's always been for me. And so the idea of saying, when is it coming? When is it coming? Really comes shining through this present timeline where you have a perceived lack of abundance. But trust me, it's just a perceived lack of abundance. You're actually in a position in life where things are balanced. You had the Six of Pentacles come up. It's the six. What you give, what you receive. You are operating in a very balanced way, but you don't see it that way because you have this perceived lack of abundance. And then also there's this feeling that you're not wanting to accept change right now. And change is the name of the game here for you. It's all about shifting mental perspective. Shifting mental perspective. Now, what do we get here for the final outcome? The final outcome is the High Priestess in upright position. So suggests no challenge. Now, when we see the High Priestess, we see high levels of intuition. And I mean high levels of intuition doesn't even... the word high doesn't describe it really. It's basically she is the archetype that represents the womb of the unconscious. She is the purpose and the destiny and the unconscious abilities that we all possess. When you receive the High Priestess, it's really a time of looking at that hidden world, right? That you're going to encounter the hidden world of the self. And that's your final outcome. Your final outcome is that you will go deep. The story of the High Priestess is the one of Persephone, who was taken to the underworld by Hades. And so that kind of hidden world, guys, we're talking about really hidden stuff. You're going to really learn stuff about yourself that has been a mystery even to you until this point. You know what I mean? And the message here for you is, please do not resist change. Please do adopt a new attitude when it comes to time. And it really is about perception. What is your perception of time? What is your perception of abundance? What is your perception of gratitude? That is ultimately the statement that I was just saying, that when is it coming? When is it coming? Versus it's here, it's here. If you're grateful for everything you have and you see love and you're grateful for everything you possess and everything that you have, which is more than you think it is right now. The feeling I'm getting is that you don't think you have anything. And so it's time to really evaluate your definition of abundance and scarcity, and to see, this will show you your worldview. You know, your worldview right now is that people are annoying me. I don't have enough and I am not enough. And all of this change is making me really, really anxious. Okay, so in order to flip the script on this, it's a mental game. That's the good news, at least. You don't have to, it's not a relationship with another person that you have no control over. It's you versus you. It's an inner conflict. And it's you versus you. And the 11th card that came out, I really think is your advice card. And I think I might call it that. If I get 11 cards all the time, the 11th card is going to be the advice from Spirit. The advice from Spirit here says you are going to be having a battle with the material reality to achieve your goal. And watch out for depression, watch out for feelings of apathy, and really consider compromise, right? Don't be the person that can't swallow their pride. If there's a situation that you're dealing with on the internal level, give it love. Don't resist it, because you're good. The tower's falling. You can't resist it. You've got to deal with it. And this card is really telling you, just, battle that material reality that you're in. And isn't it interesting that your present card is all about the material world? And so it's really saying to you, you're going to have to battle that perception that you have of the material world. You're going to have to battle it like a dragon. Jason battles the dragon in the suit of wands. And you're going to have to really get ready. Battle time. Inner battle time. Okay? That's your 11th sort of advice card, is that in the state of inner battle, just remember that you're battling the material world to achieve your goal. And I'm guessing it's this creative passion that came up in the past. This spark hasn't left you, has it? And this could be the little itch in your palm every day saying, when are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? When are we going to do this? And you're in a state right now where you're thinking, we can't do it. I don't have enough. I'm not abundant. I can't do this. There's not enough in the world, and everyone's annoying me, and I resist change. And it's like, you need to really look at your perception of abundance and your perception of gratitude. Maybe start a gratitude journal. There's some really nice guided journals specifically for gratitude that ask you questions to help you identify moments throughout the day that you're grateful for. This might be a really good tool for you to use if this reading resonates for you. Now, since we got those 2 cards at the beginning, I'm not going to clarify any of this with tarot because I feel like it's actually really clear. But what I'm going to clarify it with a little bit here is some extra wisdom from the Oracle deck. And we'll see what we can sort of add to this. Loyal heart. Loyal heart. I'm going to read out of the Oracle book for that for you. I'm getting sort of the vibe to shuffle again. I think there's another one in here for you. There it is. Come to the edge. Okay, come to the edge. I'm going to just grab the book for those and read them to you. 1 second. Okay, I'll hold the card up for you and I will read. Loyal heart. Fidelity, loyalty, and devotion. Okay, the message of this says, evidence of loyalty will appear in your life. Others will prove they are faithful to you, and you will in turn commit fully to them. There is a sure and abiding certainty in your heart. Know that Spirit is always loyal to you, no matter the outer circumstances of your life. Trust and have faith you are eternally loved, always divinely protected and divinely directed. Wow. Oh boy, I have so many things I want to say, but I'm going to just read you this card because I'm sure you're thinking all the things I want to say. Oh my God, you know what I just noticed? You guys, look, the two cards that we got, look at the numbers. Can you see? 35, 36. This is a very well shuffled deck that I use all the time for my own readings and personal readings and on YouTube. I use this deck constantly. It's very well shuffled. To get cards that line up like that, really, wow. Okay, so the next card was Coming to the Edge, number 36. I'll hold it up for you so you can see. Okay, the message says, facing the unknown is the only choice you really have right now if you want to progress. It's okay to be afraid. Now is the time to take a risk that is not calculated and to feel the exhilaration as you ready yourself for a leap of faith. Spirit is present, so let go of fear. You are called to express your true self. Listen to your heart and soul, not your head. Come to the edge and discover that you can fly. You must step into an unfamiliar space so that you may find your own miracles. You guys, you cannot make this up. I mean, wow. Seriously, with the rest of the messages in this reading, I mean, these two cards really are your true words of encouragement. Really, really, really love this for you. You're being guided and protected, okay? You're being directed and protected. So it's all a mental shift. Resisting your path, why would you do that? You know, I guess you would do that if you didn't see it as a path. If you didn't see it as a path, you would resist it, because then you would have this attitude that I don't have enough, people are annoying, and why does everything keep changing? Well, things keep changing because you're moving on up, you're moving on forward, you're moving on, you know, and you're coming to the edge of something here. And I really like the messaging from the Coming to the Edge card, where it says here that you have to take a leap of faith and that you're being called to express your true self. The Page of Wands that appeared in your past really does suggest that you are being called to do something really, really creative and expressive, you know, and so that's just beautiful. I love the last line here says, you must step into the unfamiliar. You do have to step into the unfamiliar, and being scared of the unfamiliar, I get it. I mean, I understand, but there's nothing else to do. You have to do this. There's nowhere else to go. When the tower collapses, you're not going to be able to rebuild it. You're not going to be able to somehow put it all back together again. It's gone. It's going to wash away into the sea, and you have to just release it with gratitude and love, thanking it for all the lessons. And then you go into your hermit space, not to hide from the world, but just to go into yourself. I know that the world is annoying you right now, and you're not feeling abundant, and you're not feeling patient, and you're feeling anxious, and you're feeling really worried about the future. But the future for you is looking good as far as I can see here. You've got new enterprise, you've got the High Priestess, and you've got this beautiful inner battle that you're going to be a part of, where you're going to learn so much about yourself. Like a real lesson here is for you to learn about being truly grateful for everything that you do have, and adopting this attitude of, it's here, not when is it coming, you know, because it's all here. It's just timing. You got to be patient in this, and you can't just become patient, right? Like, you're not just going to be like, I'm going to be patient because she told me to be patient. No, the way to become patient is to change your perception and expectations of time. Okay, once you realize that everything happens in its own time, you'll understand that that if you're sensing triggers that make you feel impatient, then you haven't adjusted your expectation of time. You know, you can't change time. You can't. But time will change you if you let it, if that makes sense. What a beautiful reading. I want to give you one more card because the full moon coming. I've started doing my meditation on that to get your reading ready for the full moon. And I'm really excited. I've started preparing. Am I shaking the table? No? Okay, good. Okay, here we go. Oh, there's a card turned up. Let's turn it over. Ooh. Oh, you guys. Sorry for the loud scream. Look. The answers you need are coming. Full moon in Gemini. The answers you need are coming. Beautiful. Wow. They are coming, you guys. The answers you need are coming, and you can't rush time. This whole reading is about time, gratitude, shifting your perceptions, preparing for inner struggle, preparing for inner battle. Yes. Very, very nice. Okay, as always, I will take a picture of this spread so that you can reflect on it later. Please feel free to email me if you're interested in booking some time to speak. My email is in the description, and check me out on Instagram if you'd like. I always post my art there, my illustrations, and reading pictures, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's been a great night. I've really enjoyed this reading with you. Take care, and we'll see you for the reading for the full moon on March 28th. Okay, have a good evening, everyone.